So, hey, here we go. So what it came to my attention, Verda, sometimes she joins you guys. Verda said we never did a 10 essentials of Urdhva Dhanurasana. We never did it. We did like 10 essentials of back bends, but we never actually kind of like pieced it together. And I thought that Yasmin was joining with the knee injury and Selda was joining from the hip injury. And so I thought that, I mean, it works for all of us, but this idea, you guys, of really using like the back of the body in the outer hips, like your hamstrings and your outer hips, as like this um, wall of support. So then our front body can actually open. And if you were with me on Tuesday, I started talking about hugs. Okay, because like that's what I've been wanting to do, and I've been seeing people for the first time in a while. I've been like wanting to give them a big hug, but I am sure you guys have all been hugged by someone who hugs you too tight, right? You're just like they're squeezing you, you can't breathe, they come in and you kind of like want to push them away. But then also you've been hugged by someone who kind of like gives you with a shoulder and it's a half hug, like you don't know if you're supposed to like tap them on the back, right? Or you don't know, like there's this awkward amount of space. And so that's what I want you to think about the back bend today here, you guys. It's not too tight and it's not too loose. Don't grasp at back bends like strangling them and trying to go deep into a back bend. That's not the point. But also, right, don't kind of disengage from the sensation so much that you're not able. I don't want depth, I want evenness, right? And like Ali, that should keep the spine safe, right? It's never about like the depth of our back bends. It's about finding that even balance of curve through your spine. Okay. So it's a basics class. It should be like pretty approachable, but like respect your body. Okay. So we'll get started. And so hopefully you guys can see me as well. And I didn't take blocks. Right? I don't think we really need them today, but if you do like a block, you could put one in between your knees if you like that feedback. Okay. And then we're going to come to lie down, putting the left hand on the heart and the right hand on your abdominals. And then maybe Kendall, bend your knees and step your feet into the mat. Yep, so that your knees are bent. Perfect. So why do I have you guys do this? I very often start with the knees bent because this usually for about 90% of people will put your pelvis into neutral and really allow you to feel the natural curves of your spine. And start to open up your breath here. So for those of you who were able to join on Tuesday, I started giving this kind of formula of breathe, inhale, and then really make it your mantra or your intention or purpose to relax as you exhale. And then once you've done those steps, then you start to feel what's going on in the body. Maybe you refine. And then finally, just wherever you are, you land. You allow whatever rises to the surface, not pushing it away, right? Not grasping at it, not suffocating it like a hug, and not pushing it away like resistance. 3 breaths together here. Inhale, exhale for 1. Inhale, exhale for 2. And I do think about hugs or about connections to other people. So really try to connect to that inner experience. Breathe in and breathe out. From here, Release your hands, lift your hips up as you interlace your hands behind your hips, lifting up into bridge pose. Okay. So does not necessarily have to be deep, but we do. Can you guys feel the difference? There's two actions that I like to try to find in my body. One is I think about pressing my knees towards the back of my mat, right? Towards your head. What that should do is that should help you lift your chest. But then once I've established that lift in the chest, then I think of pressing my knees forward, feeling if that can help me kind of then lengthen and extend my spine. Think of that one more time, kind of pressing the tops of the shins or the knees towards the back of the mat, really lifting the chest. Keep that lift in your chest, and then from your outer hips to your knees, press your knees slightly forward towards the top of your mat. Inhale, and then exhale, release your hands and lower down, upper back, mid back, low back, pelvis relaxes. Take an inhale. Exhale. So we do this one a lot, you guys, at the end of class. I want you to, with your left hand, grab a hold of your right foot. We're going to take that kind of quadricep stretch when you're laying down. Left hand grabs right foot. Pull your right foot to the outside edge of your left hip. The entire right knee presses down. Anchor the right foot and then draw left knee in towards your chest and squeeze your left knee in. Okay, so that's what we try to do right when we do these kind of like basics classes. We try to kind of break down the poses. So we need the strength of the back body, but then this opening through the front body. Inhale. So an evenness in the breath, an evenness in the amount of effort into the pose, but also the amount of softening. One more, please. Inhale. Exhale. Release your hands down alongside your hips. Let your right foot push forward slightly. So maybe let that right foot come away from your left hip by about a block's distance. Extend your left leg straight up towards the ceiling. Good. And then can you lift your hips up? Your hips are not going to lift very far up off the mat, but as your hips lift up, you should be able to anchor your inner right knee down towards your outer right knee more and feel the outer hips engage. Tap your hips down, inhale. Exhale, squeeze the glutes, lift back up. So it doesn't have to necessarily be deep or far, just a little pulse up as you tap down for 2. Nice, very good. One more. Right knee down, right hip up. Feel outer right hip getting strong. Maybe look up towards your left toes as you lengthen. And then release. Perfect. You guys step both feet into the mat. Just experience maybe a little heat, the difference between the right hip and the left hip. And then please change sides. Grab the top of your left foot, pull it to the outside edge of your right hip, letting your left knee fall forward and down, and then right knee draws in towards your chest. Okay, so we should feel, for most of us, like a pull through the top of the left thigh. 1. Inhale. Exhale for 2. So it's not basic, right, you guys? But like we do it all the time. Breathe. And then does it mean anything more to you to mentally say to yourself, like, relax? Where could you soften? One more. Breathe in. And then relax the face, relax the jaw, letting that right knee draw in. Excellent, good. Keep the right knee drawn in towards your chest. Release your hands. Let your left foot slide a little bit more forward so there's not too much torque in the knee. And then extend right leg straight up towards the ceiling. 3 pulses here. Inhale. Exhale. So it doesn't have to go far. The left hip is just going to come a little bit up off the mat. Look towards right toes and tap touch. 1. Inhale. Squeeze it up as you lengthen. More attention through the back body. Release. And last time, press down through the hands, through the shoulders, through the outer left knee as you lift up. And then release. Nice job, you guys. Step both feet into the mat. Take your arms up overhead, hook thumbs. Inhale, full stretch open. And on an exhale, go ahead, rock yourself up, plant your palms, and press back. Downward facing dog. So not sure how your guys' week went, but mine was pretty busy, kind of lots of moving around. And so coming onto our mats, trying to feel that balance from movement into stillness. Inhale. Exhale, take your knees down to the mat. Point your toes, sit back onto your heels. And then full stretch, arms up, interlace your fingers. So we're sitting on our heels in Vajrasana. And then flip your palms and press your palms up towards the ceiling. Good. Up towards the sky. 10 slow, powerful rounds of Kalabati breathing. Strong exhales out through the nose. They don't need to be fast. Inhale. Hold at the top. 3, 4, 5. Exhale fully. Look at the top of your mat. Lift your hips. Step right foot forward up in between your hands or up at the top of your mat with your right foot top stepping forward. Drop down and in. Good. Take an Anjaneyasana, interlacing the fingers. Now, what I'm going to ask you guys is can you find that mindfulness, that awareness to notice which finger is in front? Inhale here. Exhale, hands to the mat, press back, downward facing dog. Okay, so in an Urdhva Dhanurasana, right, you guys, in a full wheel pose, we need to have like opening through the wrists, like flexion through the wrists, opening through the triceps and through the shoulders. Inhale, press. Exhale, lower your knees down to the mat, point toes, sit back in Vajrasana, and inhale, arms up. And now this is what I'm going to ask you, being mindful. Can you put the opposite finger in front as you flip your palms up here? Good. Belly button draws in. Tailbone is anchored and heavy. 10 rounds. Kapalabhati breath. Inhale. Inhale fully. Hold at the top. 2, 3, 4, 5. Exhale fully. Lift the hips, look slightly forward, and then left foot steps forward, top of your sticky mat. From the back body, drop in Anjaneyasana. Inhale to open. Exhale, hands to the mat, press back, downward facing dog. Inhale, bring that forward into plank. And you guys, you know how like I think of some things and then I forget them for years and then I remember them again. I've really been kind of enjoying again this week pointing the toes, coming on to the tops of the feet. Remember how much my legs do feed my spine for the back bends. And then remember the outer hips that we were just working. Think that your outer hips are firming. And as you lower your knees, take your time, chin away from your chest. And as you pull the shoulder blades down your back, bending your elbows, center of thighs, tops of thighs, pubic bone, belly button, land in your cobra. So I want it to be comprehensive, you guys, like your total body. It's not deep, but it's even. Inhale, a little bit of opening across your chest. Exhale, send your hips up and back, downward facing dog. Good. Inhale, forward into plank pose. Point toes, come onto the tops of the feet. You know how I normally say, like, press the tops of your feet into the bottoms of your feet. Now press the bottoms of your feet into the tops of the feet. Press your toenails down, lower your knees. Inhale. Exhale, begin to loop the shoulder blades down your back, center of thighs, tops of thighs, pubic bone, belly button, an evenness, like a sense of control. how your muscles wrap in and hug your spine. Inhale, cobra. Exhale, tuck toes. Press back, downward facing dog. Inhale forward into plank. Okay, so we talk about how we want our mindfulness, our awareness to be really centered in your physical experience within your body. Point your toes. And when we feel the mat and we feel kind of the texture of the mat, the temperature, like the tone of your breath, it can help you feel really present. Press the floor, inhale, knees down, hooking tailbone forward, bend elbows, elbows in, hug your upper arm bones in. Can you feel your outer hips firm, belly button to the mat? So Maria, I'm gonna have you bend your elbows more. Put your pelvis all the way down, good. And then just see if you can let that curl come into the upper back, right there, yeah. Hips down in cobra. There you go, Kendall. Yep, chest up a little bit more. Yeah, let me see your face in the camera. Inhale, smile as you look up. There we go. That's about the right height. Press back, downward facing dog. Inhale and exhale. Lift right leg up and back. Three-legged down dog. Step right foot forward up in between your hands. Lunge. Back left knee down. Take your hands in prayer. Okay, so let's stop at hands in prayer. What we learned from the beginning of class, hamstrings, outer glutes, even curve through the spine with your hands in prayer. Take the prayer up. So what I find, you guys, if I press through the pinky edge side of my hand, it starts to turn on my triceps, right? When the triceps start to get warmer, then you bend your elbows, bringing the thumbs down to the base of the neck. So think in Urdhva Dhanurasana, our arms are up overhead, right? And then maybe you can start to pull the shoulder blades down the back, lift the chin, lift the gaze, inhale. And then the question is, where could you relax or soften into this pose? Hands to the mat, press back, downward facing dog. If you're ready, inhale, forward plank. You can always go knees to cobra or bend elbows, chaturanga. This is where I really think about evenness from the tip of the tailbone through the crown of the head, hips, up and back, downward facing dog. So if we think about someone, hugging us, giving us like kind of love and connection, it's like same thing that you're doing with yourself, right? Not too much, not too little. Inhale, lift, left leg up and back, three-legged down dog. Exhale, step, left foot forward, lunge. Good, back knee down, hands in prayer. So I am pausing here, right? Because I think it's pretty important to find the outer hips to help lift you up through side body, and then press through the pinky edge side of your hands. And then bend the elbows. So you guys feel that your elbows kind of want to splay open, right? Let's actually wrap them in today, focusing a little bit more on triceps. It's almost like if I could be there, you guys, and press your triceps down and back, right? So that that whole connection opens. Inhale. Exhale, hands to the mat, downward facing dog. So just asking yourself, are you already doing too much, too little? Do you need to amp it up a little bit or kind of soften it down? Inhale forward into plank, feed the legs, very comprehensive. Toe tips to the crown of the head, bend elbows, chaturanga. Inhale, let's find the upward facing dog. Evenness, exhale, press your hips. Up and back, downward facing dog. Inhale, let right leg lift, three-legged down dog, bend knee, open hip. So kind of exactly how we started on the ground, right? Squeezing your outer left hip, seeing if that helps you open your right knee and press from your right knee towards your right toes. Get the quadricep, inhale. Exhale, step, right foot, outside edge of right hand, lizard lunge. Good, back left knee down. Circle the right arm back up and around. Add the quadricep. Good. So we've done that like work before, you guys, where we put a block right between the left heel and the left bum, and we try to squeeze in. And then some of you can really focus on cobra, right? It's not dumping into the low back. It's trying to take the back bend into your chest. Inhale. Exhale, plant the palm. Press back, downward facing dog. So on Tuesday, we talked about these 5 stages. Breathe, relax, feel, refine, and then just allow whatever's bubbling up to bubble up. Inhale, forward plank. Yep, Blair, you are ready. Plank. You're learning my sequencing. Exhale, chaturanga. Inhale, up dog. Press the tops of your hands into the bottoms of your hands. Open, hips, up and back, downward facing dog. Last side of this warm up here, you guys. Left leg lifts, 3-legged down dog. Bend the left knee, open the hip. And then remember in that bridge pose, how you could firm the outer hip. See if that allows you to open. Inhale, check in with the shoulders, any place to relax. Maybe the right heel relaxes down deeply. Step, left foot outside edge of left hand, a little bit wider there. Good. Drop the back knee. Left arm circles back up and around. Then add your quadricep stretch here. Remember we started with our knees bent, trying to get our pelvis into neutral. So could you feel your pelvis coming more into neutral by anchoring your tailbone, lifting your left hip point away from your inner left thigh and making that more of a cobra into your upper chest. Like exactly, good, Claire. Yep. Cobra into your chest there. Hands plant, press back, downward facing dog. Inhale forward into plank. So if the outer body is firming, meaning your deltoids, your outer hips, even your outer heels, can we feel long lines from the inner armpit through the inner elbow into the roots of the thumbs, through the inner thighs, inner knees, into the roots of your big toe mounds? Keep all of that connection. Bend elbows, chaturanga. Inhale, tailbone, crown of the head. Create an evenness there. Hips lift, up and back, downward facing dog. Knees to the mat, tabletop, come down onto your elbows. And then puppy dog pose, adding the tricep stretch. So let your elbows walk forward. Let your fingertips point up and then towards the base of your skull, the base of your neck, deepening the tricep opening. Okay, so you guys have either all done or you've attempted full wheel pose. So remember that kind of stretch we feel through the armpit, through the tricep. And that we don't want it to go into our low back here. So check in with your low back and make sure that it's happening in your upper back and chest. Inhale. Exhale, pull that forward, planting your palms. Tuck toes. Downward facing dog. And then just to kind of add on like another layer to our theme of this hugging, and I talked about it on Tuesday. But what I've been noticing about myself, you guys, is when I go to hug someone, instead of just being in the hug, of being in the energy of the experience of the sensation, I start thinking, am I hugging too long? Should I kiss them? What are we going to talk about as soon as I finish the hug? Right? I'm overthinking. We're getting mesmerized by our thoughts instead of just being in the feeling. So let your skin hug the muscle, let the muscle hug the bone, and just sit with that sensation. Inhale. Exhale, step forward, jump forward, however you need to get there, top of your mat, feet come together. Inhale to open, right? Feel an energy at the top of your head, really lengthening away from the hips. And then take that energy and let it pour forward, dropping out over your legs. Uttanasana. Please bend your knees, drop your hips, sit low. Utkatasana. So perfect pose, exactly. Chair pose. So a perfect pose, I think, you guys, to find that not too much, not too little. And when I go too much, I clench my jaw. My eyes get hard. When I don't do enough, I'm distracted. Right? The pose almost has no purpose. And so sometimes it's going in a little bit deeper and noticing, oh, that's a little too far, right? It's kind of like in and out until you really find that sweet spot. Firm your outer hips in. Sometimes you can feel that, you guys, by trying to pull your feet apart. So don't let your feet move, but try to pull them apart and see if that fires your outer hips more. Giving yourself a big breath, like that big kind of embracing. And then exhale, give yourself a big hug as you wrap in Uttanasana. Inhale to look forward, half flat back. Step left foot back into the lunge. Okay, so yoga basics, it's all pretty straightforward poses, you guys. Lift to rise, high lunge. So depending on what you can see, like in your camera, in your own mirror, like does it look like a nice C curve, or do you feel almost like an accordion, right? Like all the pressure is kind of like dumping into the low back. See if you can lift up and out. Breathe. Relax. Feel. The fourth breath is finally like the refining. Maybe you go deeper, maybe you back out to find that evenness of effort and surrender. And then the last one, you guys, you just allow whatever is coming up, let it come up. Don't resist it. Don't squeeze onto it. Don't grasp for it. Hands to the mat. Meet in plank pose. From plank, one piece. Please lower all the way down onto your stomach. Point toes. Sphinx pose. Sphinx pose. Elbows down underneath your shoulders. Okay. One. Drag your lumbar spine out of the top of the hips. Two. Right? I think that I'm trying to pull my belly button towards the top of the mat for three. Inhale, anchor through the tops of the feet. Press from the back of the hips down into the front of the hips. Inhale. Exhale, release, plant your palms. Maybe tuck your toes, especially if you guys get a lot of pressure into your low back. You could always go back to an active child's pose to release. Yeah, exactly, Marie. With the toes tucked under, it pulls on the posterior chain more, which can release your low back. And then downward facing dog. From your downward facing dog, can you lower your elbows down onto the mat? Dolphin pose. Okay. So definitely a place, and probably, Maria, if you bent your knees a little bit more, if you softened your knees and walked them in, you could really start to open the armpits and open. Yeah, good. So excellent prep. It should be strengthening. It should be warming for your upper back so we can prepare those muscles for our Urdhva Dhanurasana. We're trying to build to that pose. Inhale. Exhale, look towards your hands, lift your elbows, downward facing dog. Step, left foot forward up in between your hands, lunge. Good, curl the tailbone forward. Lift to rise. High lunge. I should start asking, like, I should make you guys comment after class, like, what words get stuck in your head this week? Maybe it's only me. This week, it's comprehensive, right? It's like this comprehensive, like, total body. Like, what part of your body are you overworking? You need to relax your hands more, soften your toes. Go warm, embracing hug into the body here. Inhale, stretch open, make space. Fingertips to the mat, step, back foot forward. Inhale, lengthen. Remember to try to kind of feel the energy extending all the way out through the crown of your head. Exhale, fold in, Uttanasana, wrap it around. Excellent, you guys, bend your knees, drop your hips, sit low. Utkatasana, chair pose. One. Inhale. Exhale two. Remember, if you want to get more outer hips, try to pull your feet slightly apart. Inhale. Exhale. I do really think of it as a hug, you guys. I kind of wrap my hands around my legs. I try to pull myself in, stretch through the hamstrings as you fold. Inhale, look forward, half flat back. Step, left foot back, lunge. Stay low. Instead of lifting up, I find that if I stay low and hook my tailbone forward, that little bit of posterior tilt, I can stay more protected in my low back as I bring left elbow, outside edge of right knee for your prayer twist. Yep, you can always put the back knee down, but it is definitely not to feel this in any one part of the spine more than the other. Think about kind of distributing that curve from the tailbone to the crown of the head. Inhale. Exhale, hands to the mat, step it back. Plank pose. From plank, inhale, push the floor, get strong through your front body so your back body opens. Exhale, bend elbows, lower down to the belly. Point toes. Sphinx pose. So little tricks, you guys, right? The more you let your elbows come forward, the more mild it would be for your upper back. Keep the weight, please, in your left hand, in your left elbow. Reach your right arm up. There we go. Still pressing your right hip down. We're trying to strengthen on the diagonal through the back body. Right elbow down, push from right hand into right elbow. Can you keep the chest lifted? So that's the arm goes up overhead in Urdhva Dhanurasana, you guys. So we've got to get that arm up past our ears. Right, arm up overhead, back bend. Inhale. And exhale, release, left elbow down to the mat. Enjoy one more big breath here in Sphinx pose. And exhale, release, hands underneath your shoulders, tuck toes, active child's pose. Release the posterior chain. Inhale. Exhale, let's take the elbows to the mat right from here, everybody, and lift your knees and go directly into dolphin. So try to skip your down dog. And can you see how this is an arm up, overhead, back bend? The more you bend your knees and let your chest soften, right? Your shoulders move back, your upper arm bones move back past your ears, and you open that whole front body. Inhale. Exhale, look towards your hands. Can you lift your elbows downward, facing dog? Good. So firm the triceps, nice. And then step. Good job. Please step. Left foot forward, up in between your hands. Lunge. Good. Tailbone is hooking forward. Control through core, and then right elbow outside edge of left knee. Revolved high lunge. One. Good. Inhale. Exhale for two. Do we feel the right hip dropping and the left hip lifting? Can we evenly distribute the work through both sides of your hips? There we go. Nice, Kendall. I just saw that open a little. Good. Inhale. Exhale, fingertips to the mat, back foot steps forward. Last one, you guys, from the outer hips through the side body, through the armpits, extend energy through the crown of the head. Exhale, please wrap in, fold. Uttanasana, belly, chest, chin. Bend your knees, drop your hips, sit low. Utkatasana. Power from the legs. One. It's very, very hard to see, you guys, but I am actually pulling my feet backwards. One of the ways you could do that is don't lift your feet, but put most of the weight into your right foot and practice pulling, right? What's the animal that I'm trying to think, like, before it, is it a bull, like before it charges, right? It like scrapes its foot. It's kind of like that. You're pulling your foot back until you feel your hamstring engage, and then put a little bit of the weight into the left foot and try to pull your right heel back. Feel both hamstrings there. And then exhale, fold in. Uttanasana. Inhale, look forward, half flat back. Step left foot back into your lunge. Good. Back left heel spins to flat. Prepare. Warrior one. to lift to rise. Good. So that's hopefully the thing about the basics, you guys. You could take the thread almost, pulling it through the entire class, hamstrings, outer hips to feel the pelvis, to give yourself that even curve. If you'd like to take your arms up into Kali Mudra and find that kind of arm up overhead back bend, if it's appropriate and without losing the bend in the front knee. How often we go for like that outer visual instead of what it really feels to anchor into the legs to keep that foundation and then grow from there. Inhale, side ribs lift up. Exhale, hands to the mat. Meet me in plank pose. Inhale, plank push. Exhale, bend elbows, lower all the way down. Come onto your elbows for Sphinx pose. Okay. From Sphinx, press down through the top of your right foot. Lift your left leg up. It does not lift very high. And are you only lifting from your left butt muscle? I am. So I'm going to put my left foot down and I'm going to re-engage. I'm going to focus on my inner left leg in my left hamstring. So if you guys could feel, not that you want to, but my left bum is almost soft, right? It's not hard. It's more happening from the hamstring. And then weight into your left elbow, right arm forward. Good, find that connection. Chin away from the chest. 3, arm up overhead. I like to put power into my right thumb. Pull it up and back for 2. Release, come back, neutralize, Sphinx pose, and then think about your inner right thigh. Think about your inner right knee, and can we lift from here? Tuesday's class, it was all about how your mindfulness is anchored in your body. So let your body and the sensations that you feel keep you present. Weight is into your right elbow, left arm lifts. 3, 2, I don't care how high you guys lift, you guys. It's not about putting too much pressure in the system. Again, it's about that length, that evenness as you reach up and out. And then release. Leg down, elbow down. Inhale, Sphinx. Melting at the back of your heart. And exhale, release. Plant your palms, tuck your toes. Please take that active child's pose. So in Sanskrit, the direct meaning of this is exactly counter pose, like counter the energetics effects of that pose, bringing yourself back into balance, into evenness. Elbows are down. Final time, dolphin pose. Deep fold at your hip creases. We want to see if we could get like the energetic connection of almost like a cow pose. As the sitting bones lift and spread, maybe you can find a little lumbar curve. Yeah, melting the chest. 3, 2, 1. Lifting the elbows, looking forward. Step, left foot forward up in between your hands. Spin your back right heel to flat, lift to rise. Last standing pose here, you guys. Put it all together. Hamstrings, outer hips. Maybe Kali Mudra, opposite finger in front. Good. And if I'm honest with myself, you guys, I feel it. How many times I try to visually make the pose look deeper, but I sacrifice the evenness through the spine. And I think that like when someone gives you a hug, like a perfect hug, you look forward to it, right? And that's the thing, like if you give yourself a nice even distribution of that extension of your spine, you look forward to a warrior one instead of kind of knowing it's going to create compression. So lift up and out, maybe lift the gaze, maybe lift the chin. Inhale to open. Exhale, hands to the mat, press back, down dog. Full child's pose, hips to heels, all the way back. So roll up through your spine, and I'm gonna go a little unconventional as you look forward because I can see that Blair and Allie have a very easy, and I think Maria does too. So before we move on, I'm gonna take my hands to this little wall. I'm gonna flip my palms open, right? So that's good for the wrists. We're gonna be on elbows just like a dolphin, but the palms are gonna be flipped out, okay? So again, you guys, sorry for the butt shot. But so my hands are gonna go with the wall, tuck toes, and come into dolphin, but use the wall and feel like you're pressing the wall away from you to try to get one more of that really even curve from the elbows into the mid back. So take your time. So Kendall did that. I'm gonna, you know what? I have blocks, so I'm gonna pretend, Kendall, that these blocks are a wall. I come down onto my elbows just like dolphin. I turn my fingertips out and I put my palms on the wall and then I tuck my toes and try as I push my hands into the wall to press my chest away from the wall. Good. And Blair's got a good friend there. Does that make sense, Kendall? Good. Yep. So pinky edge side of the hand on the wall. And feel free, yeah, feel free to put the knees down. Use this as a drill, you guys. So when you need to, put the knees down, take a break. And now let's pretend that I could be there standing at the wall. Lift your knees, go back into dolphin. If I was standing at the wall, I would put my hand in between your shoulder blades and I would push your chest towards your legs, right? Does that make sense, Blair? Right? I would try to push, and there we go, Kendall. I see it happening. Nice. So just some of the angles I can't fully see. And then maybe you want to lift one leg up into the air if that feels good. Any of you? Yep. Just experience maybe finding Pincha Mayurasana unless you have art. Oh, Maria, nice. Yep. Unless you have artwork at the wall and you don't want to. But Kendall, keep thinking that your armpits are opening. Kendall, walk your feet in a little bit closer to the wall. And now bend your knees. Bend your knees super deep. Yeah. And now let your armpits open. Let your chest melt. Yeah. 3. If I was there, I'd put my foot in between your shoulder blades and push your chest towards the floor. 2, and 1. Nice job, you guys. Release that and come back onto your mat. Okay, so should feel hopefully a little bit looser. Tuck toes, downward facing dog. Right foot steps forward, up in between your hands, lunge. Left knee, outside edge of right ankle, come to seated. Okay. So especially, some of you are teachers, are going to become teachers. What's the last thing you need to do kind of before you go into a back bend? It's usually a twist. A twist kind of makes sure that we've warmed up the entire spine. Left elbow, outside edge of right knee, right fingertips back behind you. And then today I'm going to encourage you, Kendall, left elbow, outside edge of right knee, twist the opposite way. Yep, so Kendall, legs are perfect. Yeah, there you go. Okay. Now, press your outer left knee down into the mat. Good. Press your outer right hip down into the mat. Yeah, so more weight into that right sitting bone. Some teachers come and they put their thumb into your right hip crease and they roll it down. Now, through both sides of the body, evenly distribute that length up into the armpits. And then kind of like cherry on top, take that final little twist into your upper back. Not too much, not too little. You are hugging in. Inhale. Exhale, release, unwind, take a counter twist to the left, press back, downward facing dog. Shake the head, shake your shoulders. Inhale. Exhale, left foot steps forward up in between your hands, lunge. Right knee step, outside edge of left knee coming down to seated. And so actually, I saw a couple of you do it and kind of fits with our theme. I used to be all about getting my elbow to the outside. Actually, more now, I've actually been more interested in right elbow hooking around and giving myself that hug, right? And kind of feeling the hug as it pulls in so I can sit really tall. And then maybe the fingertips are back behind you to support the twist. One, breathe. Where is your breath centered? The texture, the temperature, the overall distribution of your breath. Where could you relax? What can you feel? The floor beneath your right knee, both sitting bones anchored. And once you've felt the entire body, like this whole pose, inhabiting it as much as you can, then maybe you refine something. And then finally, whatever arises, just allow it. Inhale. Exhale. Release. Take that gentle counter twist in the opposite direction, twisting to the right, releasing the upper back. And then coming back to seated. So we're ready. I think we're ready for the peak pose. So I do have a pretty like systematic way I like to approach this. I know Blair, you did the back bending workshop with me like back in my garage, like almost 2 years ago now, but let's take this in stages. I might have to show my body in a few different ways, but since it's a basics class, let's try to reset, okay? So just watch. When I come down, we've warmed up the wrists, we'll come here, hips up, not just, and so especially if you have sacral issues, not just squeezing the butt to lift, but I almost think that there's like straps from my outer hips pulling me up. Then I come to the top of my head and I stop. I walk my hands slightly towards my feet, widen my elbows until I can squeeze. And so that's like the cobra. Then remember at the beginning of class when I said press your knees towards the back of your mat. I press my knees towards the back of the mat and then I press up. So I get this feeling that the curve is going evenly into the upper back, not accordioning and jamming into the low back, but instead looking for even distribution of curve. So hug yourself, be gentle with yourself, right? If it's too much, always bridge pose. Otherwise, come to lie down and set up here. So you guys, I always also start it as a bit of a back bend, right? Like I take cow pose in my spine. Like I arch my low back. Yeah, Claire. So what if you arched your back from there? Like, yeah, exactly. Take the hands alongside your ears. Press, lift the hips, come to the top of your head. Now walk your hands just a little bit closer towards your feet. Can you squeeze your shoulder blades together first? Press your knees towards the back of your mat and then press up. And I know it's a lot of stages. Now, if I was there, I would put my hands on your knees and I would press your knees towards the back of your mat. Looks pretty good, Maria, right? Yeah, it's a little bit. The other cue I like, Maria, for this is thinking my feet are stretching my mat forward. That usually helps me to accordion. And then just ask yourself, where did that land in the body? One more time. Inhale. Exhale. Hands alongside your ears. Practice arching your spine first. Think cow pose, anterior tilt of your pelvis. You're going to go into a back bend, so start in a back bend. Hands alongside your ears. Lift to the crown of your head. Remember how we fired up the outer hips Remember how we fired up the outer hips? We pulled our feet apart. Think about pulling your feet apart here. And then as you squeeze the shoulder blades onto your upper back, lift up. So if you're in bridge, that works too. Finding the balance of pulling the feet apart, feeling the balance of pulling the sitting bones towards the back of your mat. Inhale and exhale. Very nice, you guys. Chin to chest. Lower that all the way down. And as you hug your knees in, let the bottoms of your feet come together and your knees wide. Take the hands over the tops of your feet, interlacing your fingers on the pinky edge sides of your feet like a Baddha Konasana. Right? So we do this on the floor all the time. Press your inner knees towards your outer knees. And then as you bend your elbows, think about pulling the arches of your feet towards your belly button. You know, like we'd be seated in Baddha Konasana, and then we would fold forward. So think of folding by pulling the feet in and widening the knees open. And then can you guys figure out how to fire your outer hips? If you learn to fire your outer hip muscles, your gluteus medius, your knees might open a little bit more. Inhale. Exhale, release. Inner knees come together to touch. Lift, head, neck, shoulder blades. So you should be kind of looking forward now. Take your forearms, cross them over your shin bones, grab your elbows. Pull the tops of your thighs in your ribs, in your belly, in your chest, everything together to touch. Keep all that power holding onto your elbows. Just drop your head down towards the floor. So try not to let the knees, right? They're going to want to. Try not to let the knees pull away from the chest. Hug them in tightly. 3, 2. Could you relax into that space, that deepening at the top of your hips, the fold at the top of the legs for 2. Inhale. And exhale for 3. Open the arms, open the legs, and from that deep, strong hug, balance it out by opening into Shavasana. So as we settle in for Shavasana, is there somebody in your life who gives good hugs? Right? I have a friend who walks around and he's always going, free hugs, free hugs. Right? How good it feels to kind of be embraced, to be wrapped up, supported, connected. It definitely starts with ourselves, being able to hold yourself kindly, that balance between a firm support and an open surrender. 1 minute in silence. Begin to deepen your breath, wiggling your fingers and toes. And then as you stretch your arms up overhead, and then bend your knees, roll to your right as you press up to find seated. So holding your hands in front of your heart center and, not to be cheesy, but I definitely wish I could give you guys all a hug and maybe, you could become that person, right? That kind of gives good energy to other people, like nice firm hugs. I think we all kind of need it these days. So take a full breath in. And your exhale, just practice like relaxing and softening into your body. Taking your thumbs to your third eye, bowing forward to seal your practice. Jai, Siddhatma. Thanks, guys.